It's Hearts Standard. I am Craig Cairns. This is Joel Sked, and we have just watched a 3-1 defeat for Hearts against Rangers at Tynecastle Park. Before we kind of get into the details of it, Joel, just give me a quick summary of your thoughts on the game today. That'll do.
Missed opportunity, and it's a really hard one to dissect or kind of make head and tail off, or if that's a saying or whatever. I just want to go home. Is that we played quite well, I thought, over the piece, created a lot of really good chances. You just have to look at, and no, so not everyone's bag, but the XG that Hearts created. I think I've seen a Rangers fan actually, a guy who is really good on this stuff, say that's the highest XG Rangers have conceded since coming back up into the Premiership since 2016. So that shows you how many opportunities the team created. Elton on another day could have easily had a hat-trick with the number of chances he's had, and then but at the same time we did feel a wee bit vulnerable when, and we'll come on to probably talk about this in more depth, when kind of lost the ball in transition, and at the same time 2 of the goals were on G's. So it was just a combination of like misfortune, a wee bit of vulnerability, and just profligacy.
That was definitely going to be my first question, the shape. I think there were a few eyebrows raised at the start when Cabangu, Shankland and Wilson all started. I think he stuck with the diamond, basically. They finished the St Mirren game with. I think it was kind of like a needs-must thing against St Mirren, so it was slightly surprising to see it from the off. In this game, football's a game of space, and regardless of which shape or which formation or which strategy you take, you have to concede somewhere on the pitch.
Yeah.
Hearts have decided to do that in the wide areas today, and I agree with you. Performance, attacking wise, wasn't bad. Even out of possession, forcing Rangers into errors wasn't bad. It was the Rangers' transitions, that ball out to Tavernier and then into Cherney or Lawrence and then into the attack. They just bypassed the Hearts midfield far too often, over and over again, I thought.
Yeah, it did feel like the game
and not quite over and over again. The spells that they did do it. Sorry.
It did feel like it was one of those where if Rangers got into the Hearts half of the Hearts final third, they looked like they were going to score, and then when Hearts pressed Rangers and did it well, it looked like Hearts were going to score him. He saw the two sides, and this is something that if you I would urge anyone to listen to the videos already up on Critchley and his kind of Q&A, or go on to the site and read the Q&A, because he goes into a wee bit more depth about kind of counter pressing and stuff. But when it worked, Rangers really struggled with it, playing out the back, and Hearts had 3 guys central to it, which allowed it to make it easier to press, or more effective. But if it didn't quite click, there was at times where you looked up and it was Benny, 2 centre backs and maybe a full back, and it just, like I said, there was a lot of space for Rangers to attack into. So while they were relatively dangerous when they did, overall, which goes back to the general point of the frustration, is that in general Rangers weren't very good. They were pants at times.
Yeah, it really is a little bit sickening. I think Hearts have said that a few times this season when a game they've lost or drawn at Tynecastle, and say like the opposition hasn't been very good, despite like sometimes coming in form and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I suppose another story that Hearts went back to today was not taking their chances. You kind of alluded to it there. Cabangu was probably the most guilty on the day. I'm loath to criticise him too much because he has done well so far, and he's not just going to be great from game to game. But yeah, you're right. On another day, he scores one of those, and it'd be really interesting to see whether it becomes then a slugfest, or whether Hearts then just take control through getting an early goal, or even coming from behind to take the lead at half time, which they maybe should have.
Yeah, I would have been intrigued to see what the reaction would have been from Hearts if we got ahead. That whether Critchley would have made a change kind of instantly, or he would have continued to press on. I suppose it would have depended on when the game Hearts would have taken the lead. Big thing for Critchley since he's come in is he was like, wants to go toe-to-toe with Celtic and Rangers. He's spoken about it. Celtic's harder, but Rangers it's probably easier to go toe-to-toe with, and went to Ibrox, had 50% over 50% of the ball. I'm just getting my phone up here because I wanted to. Critchley mentioned that it looked like Hearts had 53%. So had more of the ball against Rangers. He wants Hearts to kind of try and dominate, or not just sit in and survive. He wants Hearts to actually go for it, and showed it, which was really encouraging. That's probably the most encouraging aspect that I take from it, is that we've actually played Rangers, gone in attacking formation and looked to actually win the game rather than survive it and then trying to find a way into, rather than doing this. Sometimes it's a case of surviving and like, oh shit, we actually need to go and try and score or win here. He kind of flipped it, so it would be interesting to see if Hearts got ahead. But yeah, you can't go ahead of the chances. You know, you're loads to criticise Cabangu.
Well, not too much, but he still deserves criticism.
Yeah, but that's the thing. So everything about his performance was really good. Mm-hmm. Like, he got into the positions that you want him to get the positions.
And that's encouraging because you're still being there.
Yeah. The threat he is posing is exactly what you want Cabangu to do. But it was just like the two ones were the kind of tame or timid ones that Butland saved. Like, one of them was straight at him, so it was more direction, and then he tried to slide it under Butland when he got played through by a brilliant ball from Wilson. And at that point, and it was the Butland save, the third one. At that point, you're thinking, it's not going to be.
What about the one in the second half, though? I'd like to see that one back. No, the one that's at the back post, and it looks like he should take it first time, but he overthinks it, and he takes a touch, he takes another touch, and then I think he tries to cut it back, and it's blocked, or maybe his shot's blocked. I can't remember. It's up the other end of the pitch from where we were. But that one to me looked like, and again without seeing it back, it looked to me like the earlier chances had gotten into his head, and he was just overthinking that.
Rather than just you've seen it with the goal he scored at Dundee when he ran through, and then the second goal he scored was just pure confidence, instinct, and he just slammed in. So you score one of them, and you're looking at him probably going on to score at least another. That was the type of game it was. But unfortunately, it went the other way, where he just really couldn't score. And the fact that the chances kept falling to, until Musa came on, the chances kept falling to Cabangu rather than Shankland or Wilson to see if they could find the back of the net.
You mentioned the XG. You actually showed me your phone at one point in the first half, and Hearts were 1-0 behind when Rangers had 0 XG. Hearts had built up a decent amount of chances by that point as well.
Rangers had 0 shots. 0 shots.
And so that kind of brings me on to the own goals, which are a big part of the game today. Do you think McCart could be blamed at all for that first one?
For the first one, absolutely not. Nah, I don't know. Like, it's a hard one. Watching it back at half time, whether it's like communication, it's like I can see why Gordon's gone for it. It's just,
there were a couple of moments like that. Gordon coming out and Steinvender clearing it rather than.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's more just like the kind of the push. I don't know if it's maybe one of those where he can be more aware of what's around him, and whether it's Gordon or whether it's McCart to say just kind of leave it, or for Gordon just go, you know what, I will just leave it because there's no threat at the back post. The second one, there was just a defender desperately defending to try and get back in. But the first one's just that one's probably the more frustrating one.
Expect there's no threat there. It's just really frustrating with there being.
Basically, the fact that you actually see when Gordon gets his hand to kind of pushes it out, there's no Rangers player anywhere near
the back post.
Nobody.
They could have all missed it, and it would have just trickled out of danger. I had in my head where I was going to go next, and it's alright. Speaking of pushes, should Hearts have had a penalty in that second half? Have you seen it back?
Yeah, I've watched it. I've watched it. I put a bit in the instant analysis about it. I'm someone that doesn't like to dwell on referees and get bogged down in conspiracy theories and all of this, but that one, looking at, but at the time, I think I might have been right at the time, so I don't really see it. It was only until I seen it back, I was like, that looks like a clear penalty to me, and it's not the referee not kind of spotting it in the when it happens, right? Fair enough, but you've got VAR, which admittedly I really don't like, but you've got VAR, and the fact that VAR would have checked it because they did check everything, but it's the fact that he's not been asked, or I don't know.
Well, I've got my suspicions about this. I think they probably they obviously look at everything,
yes,
but then they choose whether to look at things more.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember hearing something about Luis Diaz at Liverpool a few weeks or months ago, and he actually feigned injury after winning a corner because he knew there was a chance that VAR would give something. And the thinking was that he was delaying it so that they had enough chance. Now, play continued there, and it continued for a few minutes, and then Rangers scored. It's a much bigger decision to then rule out a goal and then give a penalty at the other end. It kind of makes the clear and obvious threshold a bit higher, you would think. Maybe not the clear and obvious, but like whether they're going to overturn it or not, I think it makes the threshold a bit higher. So I wonder, I'm not saying they didn't check it, but I wonder if Hearts had maybe like got a tactical foul or the ball had gone out of play right away. I wonder whether there would have been more of a VAR check on it.
Right, yeah. That might be it. I'm going to watch the game either back later on tonight or first thing tomorrow, so I'll kind of look at that and just see what happens in the immediate aftermath. But you're looking at the situation itself, that's one where you just like, he surely gets called over to the monitor to even just have a look at it. And I go back to, and I'm not going to say, because Rangers got one last week, it's the Hearts should have got one this week. I'm just saying that the Rangers won last week. When I watched it against Queen's Park, I was like, I don't think that's a penalty. No. Whereas, so that makes it all the more frustrating when you look at it and think, well, if that's a penalty, then this looks even more of a penalty. And then I know I'm going back 21 years, but is it 21 years? No, 20 years. 20 years. Kyriakos.
Yep.
Kyriakos, Andy Davis at the school end. That still rankles with me. So yeah, it's
genuinely one of the worst decisions I've seen in the flesh.
Yeah,
there was like daylight between was it Lee Miller and Kyriakos. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that one. And just to be clear, Hearts lost the game because they conceded terrible chances, scored 2 own goals, and didn't score enough goals at the other end of the pitch. It was nothing to do with not being given a penalty there.
At 2-1, it would have certainly would have helped give the team a chance. And so yeah, it's just that kind of just added to the frustration. But I would say is that Critchley got asked about it afterwards. Don't think he watched it back. Also, don't think he is. He doesn't like VAR, but I don't think he's one to chat too much about refereeing. Definitely. Focus too much on refereeing decisions. But yes, I can understand fan frustration, because I think we were both frustrated at the fact that it was a two-handed push on James Wilson.
I haven't seen it back yet. That's why I was asking if you had, because I'm giving all these opinions without actually seeing a replay. Just to finish off, kind of little out of sorts here in terms of like the order, but just before the Czerny goal, double substitution.
Yes.
And if Hearts hadn't conceded that goal, again, would have been interesting to see how the game transpired, because the first thing Nieuwenhof does is turn. He gives a dummy to a couple of Rangers midfielders, turns and gets through. Khartoum plays a wonderful through ball for another Kabangu chance. Khartoum actually has a decent technique on that shot. I know it's right at Butlin just after it, but you saw that those two came on and instantly gave Hearts something in those two shuttle positions on the side of the diamond. Yeah,
absolutely. Out of the two, I've probably more focused on Khartoum, just because I was really impressed with the way he carried the ball. He seems to want to play forward, whether it's passing forward or it's taking the ball forward himself. Plays with his head up, which is really encouraging, so he can see what's happening. Just on the two substitute appearances, I do think he's going to be someone who should maybe score goals and create chances for the team. Nieuwenhof, again, just good getting minutes, and I think he was he kind of not fell out of it, but because of the way the game state, he didn't catch my eye as much as Khartoum. And then they were either side of Benny, who I thought for 65 minutes was superb.
He sort of lost his way.
Yeah, certainly lost his way, kind of lost the ball a couple of times, fouled on the edge of the box, picked up a booking. So, but again, that's in that shape and the way that Hearts played, it's a difficult position to play because he has to cover so much. So yeah, it was a shame, and it would have been intriguing to see what he would have done if Devlin was fit. I know you said afterwards that he just didn't make it, should be fine for St Johnstone, so how that would have changed things. But yeah,
I wonder whether that's why he's changed the formation.
Yeah, quite possibly, because you look at it, Devlin, I don't think he's quite as natural, and that's because
if Devlin and Benny play, then they don't play that formation. You'd imagine.
I can't see either of them doing the shuttle role. And Devlin, I think Devlin's better in a two-man midfield rather than like sitting on his own. So yeah, potentially that's why the reason behind it.
Just before we finish up, any other business as always?
No, I think that's I think that's us. I can't really think.
We
of it.
mentioned for Michael Steinwender, although he spoke afterwards as well. His comments are embargoed until tomorrow night. But as he said himself, his goal was overshadowed by the result. He wasn't wanting to really talk about his goal. But I mean, a decent performance from him. I know that the defence kind of had its issues. It was put under quite a lot of pressure with those Rangers counter-attacks, but another threat in the box. I suppose that's one positive to take away from it. He said that one of the reasons he got so much space is because people are concentrating so much on McCart. That's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or encouraging thing going forward.
Yeah, and the fact he's spotting that he seems quite athletic. Seems to probably the big thing was where he kind of got caught at one moment in the first half, and then he made a brilliant recovery run and blocks. So you see him tired at the end again. Just the way that what's asked of the centre backs in that formation, there's a wee bit more of expected or responsibility on them, especially in that kind of transitions phase. So yeah, if he scored in front of his parents, which was nice for him. But overall, just a frustrating afternoon.
Definitely was. On to St Johnstone next. Please, everybody, check out heartstandard.co.uk for all the reaction from this game and for much, much more. It's always going up every day. Daily, we're putting stuff up. We also have an offer at the moment, £1 for 6 months of Hearts Standard content. So get over to heartstandard.co.uk to check that out. One last thing, please subscribe to this if you haven't already, and we will see you all again soon.